So Tiger, me and you used to go back and forth quite a lot before you joined the community, and curious on why the change of heart, because you was really against this community at first, and Richard Hart. So I'm just curious why the change of heart.
Well, that's one of the greatest questions. Several different reasons. I'd say the biggest would be lack of education on the community. Not so much Richard Hart, but like the education on the people in it. Like I didn't really understand the level of conviction, the education, the heart that people have, and the willingness to endure loss. That's one of my biggest eye openers, quite honestly. The first space that I ever did in my life was with you. And it got me, you know what? I could not stop thinking about that space when I did it. I went in with the full intention of just like running this to the ground because I thought I knew
Hey
exactly what it
Tiger,
was. A lot of the power lies in the success of a community. And I believe this community has the most potential. And it's at a level that is very investable, considering its past and everything that's happened. But there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of risk, especially with Richard Hart, controlling a lot of stuff. And basically the success of the chain is very much dependent on him, even though we would like to not believe that, but that is the reality.
I mean, unfortunately, you're not wrong about some of that stuff, especially the kind of bogarting of the chain, right? Like if they were to give some of the control up, I'm sure a lot of these things would have been fixed a long time ago. But I mean,
I'm fighting a war here with this pulse chain from you name it, from the Tang Gang to Rackham Rishel to Jim Rat. It's a war. It's divided. The house is divided. And if a house is divided, we've all heard the saying, a house cannot stand divided. So my goal, my purpose, my goal here is unification of the community. I'm trying to. It's difficult. It's very challenging.
I mean, the thing is here is like when you say you're fighting Tang Gang, it's like I get that people are like
Well,
fucking with
not yet. I
you,
don't have the
but
education to
well,
fight
no.
them yet. I don't
Here's
know.
the thing, though, Tiger. Here's the thing, though. Before you even get into that fight, I'm not sure it's
I'm
even
nervous
really
about that
truly
fight.
worthy. Well, I'm not sure it's even worthy of the fight because they're
Well,
kind of like taking on Chia and they've left the network, so they kind of like majority of them call the thing a piss chain and all that. So
you
I
know
don't
what's
think
going to
they're
piss?
really
You know what's
like
going to piss me
invested
off?
here right now.
Both of us is going to piss us off when Pulse Chain pops and they come back and go, "Oh, look, I'm with Pulse Chain now. It's coming. I've been here the whole time."
That's possible too, man. But what I'm saying is right now, the fight ain't worth it because they're not here. They're out doing it on other chains. And until that day happens, I think your time is best well served doing other things. Like, don't even worry about that.
I think the powers that have structural imbalances to have money in their favor, I think they very much so saw us as a very big threat. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like putting it all into perspective, like how much Ethereum is in the Pulse Chain reserves, where Pulse Chain is, like in just retail, newbie metrics, right? You go on Dex Screener, you're seeing Pulse Chain. You usually saw Pulse Chain quite frequently with the top EVM chains that are listed. So I think it's getting to be that time where the doubters and naysayers, and I feel like I repeat this like over and over again because like I do, but in a sense of like I don't think there really is like a number of times you can say it. I mean, it's true, right? Like eventually it's going to happen. The reason why I have such conviction is because looking around and to a degree being chain agnostic, right? Like I'm not like opposed to going around and seeing like other chains and getting into different projects, but it's very small. Like it's very like degenerative stuff. But nothing has been happening all across there. Like I've seen my liquidity pools in Pulse Chain. I've seen them in Ethereum off Uniswap. I mean, there really isn't anything that's like standing out like we're missing a bull run, right? I think it's just a matter of time before this stuff happens. I would be now here's the thing. I would be worried if we were struggling like this and Solana is above $400. Sonic is breaking all-time highs from its previous cycle of being Phantom. Cardano is, breaking all-time highs. Like that's when I would be worried a little bit. But even then, like I would imagine like there's a plan for being that late, but honestly, like none of that's happening. And until that happens, which, all of those projects will do well and they might go to the very numbers that I listed, right? But we are going to outpace them so much. Like even if we only do, like let's say we only do like a 10x from sac price, right? That's like the cycle top all time high. That's still really good considering it like where we're at right now. And for most people to walk away with over 100x in crypto, that's very rare, especially the type of community that we have. That would be, explosive to everybody, right? I mean, it's not like euphoria, right? But at the same time, a 10x from SAC, it's plausible, right? It's definitely more likely than saying pulse chain to $1 or pulse X to $1. All of those are good. It's good for moon math and hopium and raising awareness, like why you would say this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, like if you take a calculated measure, just being conservative, a 10x from SAC price is not that bad at all. That's really good, especially from how hard we fell. Like the fact that if we recovered that much, and especially if it happens all before the end of 25, that's a crazy move. So that's a W in my book, even still. Others might disagree. I mean, I would kind of be, I don't know how I would feel because then the whole bragging rights of 10,000x from the bottom, like I felt like that was kind of like something like Richard would want to stand on for all of his projects. So until the cycle happens and until that's proven wrong, I'm still going to keep that optimism that I think Richard really wants his projects to do well, and I like the fact that he's confident in his original narrative of I design coins to do a 10,000x their first cycles from the bottom. I don't think he's one of those guys that doesn't meet up to his own expectations, and the reason for that, one is price appreciation with ETH. I think ETH goes above $10, $12, $15,000. And so you wouldn't need to really use that much of the SAC fund to really, amplify things in the space just based off of, Hart's law and being tied to Ethereum. Once Ethereum goes up, we're all naturally still going to go up, right? And then the more ETH that's, put into the cores, if it happens, right? Or even into the pump.tires core, meme coins that have a little bit of a name stay now, those can really get stuff shaken too. I think if you could do more impact with less capital if you just pumped like most and pump on the pump.tires coins. The reasoning for that is because people would obviously sell off and rotate out. But where would they go with that capital, right? Like you would have a bunch of people swimming around with a dollar amount that can translate into whatever pulse chain is at that point in time, right? Because obviously, with those meme coins running, that means pulse chain has to appreciate too. But it could be in a good leverage position to get more pulse chain, with most or pump. But that's just my opinion. Others could say, yay, nay to that. I've heard other crazier things, but yeah, no, I think everything that Richard endorses is here to stay. And it's going to be tied in one way or another. One way or another, it will be, for sure. Fairly on the side of the most probable thing happening is there's a movement, there's a couple upgrades, there's, new innovative things for the community to utilize that, we find a way to lock in capital. Whether it's single side staking, whether it's, farms rejoice, LPs rejoice, stuff like that. That could be an option too. But yeah, I think people are worrying about all the wrong things right now, and you should be more focused on like preparing yourself for a situation of, okay, I started out with this amount of capital. Now it's this. How do I strategically play this to pay myself back, make my 3D life better, while at the same time keeping my league status or positioning inside of crypto? Is he playing that like devil's advocate to the situation and trying to just benefit from that, that way? Because it's a lot easier and you get more clout being the enemy than you do, as they say, like glazing somebody, right? Like if you're someone who appreciates the stuff that Richard does and you don't really have anything negative to say, they say you glaze him or whatever, right? But then at the opposite end of it, it's like you're attacking the person that is responsible and probably going to be responsible for allegedly pumping your bags, right? We get very bored easily. So when people make cool stuff and then someone else makes something that, it's cool, it's just not as cool or something like that. We're just like, yeah, what, whatever. But to everyone else, it's like revolutionary technology. It's revolutionary code, stuff like that. Like we got to give ourselves credit where it's due. Even though we might have differences and we, ad hominem attack each other and stuff, like we can still like point out some of the great things like from each other's subsections of the community, because that's what's making Pulsechain appear on Deck Screener. This place would be nothing if it's just Richard holding a bunch of coins in liquidity pools. Like it takes actual like activity to get noticed on Deck Screener and stuff like that. Like it's a hard thing developing a L1, especially when you're not going with the crowd. Your adversary to what's really going on, which is the deep state getting their claws hooked into crypto. I think we just have to give ourselves a little bit more credit. We have to stop being so harsh on each other. Like at the end of the day, price is down everywhere except Bitcoin. The Bitcoiners are winning temporarily, but their gains are not going to be anywhere near as much as we get, and we suffered a lot. So the amount of suffrage that we encountered during the cycle, the gains that make up for it are due, though that's rightfully owed to us, right? Whereas the Bitcoiners, yeah, you played it safe, 3.5, 4 years, solid, cool. But you guys weren't making 100x's. You guys did at best, at the top of the cycle, I could say you did it a 15x from the bottom. That's amazing, especially for something like Bitcoin at the top of its S curve. Now, obviously, like, corporations getting involved with the mining and stuff like that changes Bitcoin's trajectory a little bit, but it just stands out and goes to show like how far cryptocurrency is moving along. And so what do you think where do you think people are going to look? They're going to get tired of looking at the horse and carriage or the buggy, right? Eventually they're going to want to see the automobile. Then eventually they're going to want to see the, Ferrari and stuff. Like we're the more advanced tech, right? Like we're the better car, but people have to have exposure to it. They have to know what they're getting exposed to at the same time, Like today, I passed out flyers for 4 hours. I got sunburned because I was passing out flyers.
People that they're just going to throw away. I mean, I swear, like if you're handing out flyers, I used to hand out flyers for a garage band that I was with back in high school. And really, I could tell what I was telling people without saying it when I handed them a flyer. What they read was, here, throw this away for me. I mean, if you really want to help your Pulsechain bags or your Hex bags, the best thing for you to do is take the money that you would have spent on marketing and put it into the asset. Just buy more of the coins, because green candles are the very best marketing. And personally, what I think is a good idea here, what I'm doing personally here with my daily DCA, I just buy like a little bit of USDC off Coinbase every day, and then when it builds up enough or I see a good opportunity, I bridge it over to Pulsechain. What I do is when there's a day when the entire market is red, that's when I go buy Pulsechain, because imagine the optics if our ecosystem is the only thing that is green, that is pumping, and has the biggest bubbles when everything else is wrecked. That is the ultimate marketing, and it is the ultimate middle finger to all of our haters. That's what I've got to say. If anybody wants to debate me on that point, that it's better to just buy the coins than try to market them, I'm happy to have that discussion.
I'm not really going to debate that. I just think the more exposure people have to it, outside of the direct echo chambers that they have on their cell phones or whatever they use, it's just effort, right? Like I'm not expecting from my work alone to amount to really anything. But it's still a different exposure. We're going to have the same type of money coming into crypto. Very little of it's going to be new money. That kind of progresses over time, but the main institutions that are buying, the main sort of capital that flows throughout cryptocurrency regularly, that's eventually going to impact us, but it still doesn't hurt to get our awareness out there to even people who may have never even stumbled upon cryptocurrency at all. So
let me ask you this here then. You say that it doesn't hurt, which I can agree, it doesn't hurt. But is it possible that that money was better spent or better deployed doing the thing that you want the marketing to do, which is inspire somebody to buy the coins to push the asset price up? Why not just push the asset price up yourself with the money you spend on postcards or whatever?
Well, truthfully, it really wasn't that much money. So like it really didn't it wasn't like this whole like budgeted thing. It was just sort of just like side cash that I had. and it was liquid to my dispense, and I was able to just go, and I got a hookup at Staples and just got a bunch of copies. I mean, it really wasn't like I had a strategic plan. It was just something that I had the day off, and I figured I could do it. Just sprung an idea.
Okay, now has anybody got anything else here on this marketing thing? Because you see, my fear here is that we're just creating things that are just going to get thrown away. Now, my ideas here about this, like as you see, I used to do marketing with direct mail and everything for a business I am previously. I'll talk all about that on the live stream here. But you see, my problem is that what if they get a postcard and they just throw it away? Some ideas that I've heard is, well, we could send them something useful instead, like, I don't know, pens or koozies, and it has the hex URL or web address on it, or the Pulsechain address on it or something. Maybe, okay. I mean, at least it guarantees that people aren't going to throw it away, but do we really have a guarantee that people are going to actually do what we want them to do with whatever items that we mail out to them? I don't see that. So if somebody has a great idea, I'm all ears here, but I would much rather...
So the type of audience that I was approaching and I was around are less likely to be around places like Deck Screener, like searching for what coin's doing what. Even they probably don't even know what cryptocurrency even is outside of just Bitcoin. If you brought up Ethereum, they're probably drawing a bunch of dolls, but it was just QR code, bunch of colors, pictures, just different marketing tactics. I mean, it wasn't anything expensive. It wasn't anything like I could have just bought more Pulsex with that, right? Like I buy Pulsex all the time. It's my favorite coin. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that yes, green candles do help, right? But for what I was doing in this particular day was most likely visiting people that were never going to know what cryptocurrency even was to begin with, basically. And it just had exposure with like a QR code. You can use their cell phone, look up what it is. It's just different exposure. That's all.
Sure. Nothing wrong with that. But as you know, the learning curve that they would have to go through with this being like their very first time seeing anything having to do with Hex, let alone cryptocurrency, is quite a lot. It's going to be like drinking from a fire hose. So are they likely to make a move here from that? I'm not quite sure. I mean, let's think about the very first cryptocurrency ever with Bitcoin. When that first came out, did we see Bitcoin postcards or anything, or any type of advertising? Just seen talk about it among the cypherpunks and the forums and everything, and it eventually grew and got into the right hands. You see, your investors that make money off of your investment, particularly in crypto, are the greatest evangelists or missionaries or whatever you want to call them. They're going to be the greatest word of mouth marketers for you, just with them saying, hey, made a whole lot of money in this asset here, and I think it's still at a low price, so you can get in too. And I think that our best shot at doing that is let's really support what it is we believe in by putting our money where our conviction lies. I think that is the best thing. Not to take a dump all over there, Mr. Extra Pulsex, because I know you didn't spend a lot of money or anything. But I'm talking about for the benefit of everybody else in the community here. I think that is our best bet. This $1 million that Rackham wants to offer for somebody to debate Richard Hart, which I don't know if that's real or anything, because what guarantee do we have that he would actually show up for the debate or that he has a connection to do that? That $1 million would go a lot further and do a lot more good for us if he just crammed it into one of the core coins. So my only plea here is that before you decide to spend big money, which you didn't spend big money, that's all right. Before you decide to spend big money, though, on a marketing campaign, ask yourself, is this going to move the price more than me just putting this money into the asset? And that's my closing remark.
Well said. I mean, make good, valid points, for sure.
View Mexi as a very good exchange. I don't really view OKX as a very good exchange either. But if we can get on one of the big boys, like Kraken, Gemini, Crypto.com, or Dream Come True, Coinbase, I see that doing much more for us than just about anything else that we can hope for.
Well, part of my 4-odd-year thesis for crypto that I've revised from the last 4 years is that centralization won, and whether you like decentralization or not, there's a big hand in the centralized movement that every decentralized person underestimated and probably didn't make enough money on. And so going forward, that's just something you have to be aware of. I mean, you could get the Coinbase card, and if they're saying up to 4% in Bitcoin right now for your credit card, I don't know. That's whether you think that's good or bad. That's more than Hex is paying you.
I wouldn't kind of wave the flag to centralization and say that's going to be the future from now on. But if we really are honest with ourselves here, every one of us had to use a centralized exchange to get into this thing for the very beginning. I mean, that's just the easiest on ramp there was to buy some USDC on Coinbase and then
Yeah.
send it over to your MetaMask and bridge it to where you want it to go.
The closest
I
hopeful
think
thing for Pulsechain is 0x Coast's $10 million on chain, which is backed 100% by US dollars sitting in bank account.
that's good,
That's
but
the strongest thing we got right now. If you're looking at Pulsechain centralization and community strength,
yeah, but what I really want is just being able to buy this coin with as little clicks as possible.
you do
That's
you
what I
go
really
straight from your bank and they give you the tokens straight into your wallet. So there's nothing.
Coast. I had a hard time onboarding onto Coast.
Because
Not just me, but
you did it
everybody
wrong.
trying to on.
You have to have their bank, which is Glory. Do you have the old
Yeah,
Glory
I had
bank?
a hard time with them too.
So you get old Glory Bank, then you have to have the app, and you have to connect your account, and you have to send a what is it called?
That's 4 steps
You
already,
got to
though. That's
send a
not
Zelle. So you're sending Zelle into 20x Coast's account on Old Glory. And then, see, this is all centralized systems. You think one click? No, centralized systems is a lot of clicks. You send your
Didn't have this problem when I did Coinbase though.
mm,
It felt pretty
Coinbase
seamless.
lets you
When I
trade with,
onboard other people, I have
well,
very little trouble getting to use it.
Coinbase only does that because they let you trade with their money, right? And then they will tack on a fee to allow you to access your quote unquote money, but it's not your money, it's theirs. But they're giving you that access, early access, because they have a lot of capital and you're paying a fee for that specific ability. And generally, you're also paying spreads on top of that. So you can do that with a check card.
The sign up and buy though, the sign up and buy was pretty seamless. I mean, yeah, you got to do the KYC and everything. I understand that, and there's going to be a process and everything. But if we can get somewhere where there's already a ton of buyers that have already KYC'd and everything, we can move our coin there where they can buy the coin in 1 or 2 clicks. That is more beneficial than what we got currently, because clearly what we got currently is not good.
Coinbase doesn't get you pulls. You still have to go more steps. So if you go 0x Coast, you literally go from
on Coinbase.
Once you get the 0x Coast, it's literally a couple minutes and you're in from your bank account into Pulsechain and you get the coin that you want, Pulsex Hex, Pulse, whichever one you want, you'll get it right in your wallet without even doing a swap. So, I mean, that's as good as it gets. Any other way is going to be if you want to do it with change now, you could do small amounts, or if you want to do what is it, Pulse LN, but those aren't fiat onboarding. If you want to use their fiat onboarding, that's another step.
See, when it comes to onboarding, people want to use a familiar name that they're going to trust their money and be like, oh yeah, you know what, Coinbase, they're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. I trust them as what these normies are thinking. So yeah, I'll sign up for Coinbase. And then if Pulsechain is right there to buy it, well, looky there. It's just 1 click after they've KYC. And the same with Kraken. Kraken is a very legitimate one as well. If we get on that, which they haven't said no yet. So my position would just be, if we're going to do any marketing at all, let's focus those efforts into getting into centralized exchange that has a lot of users already that everybody already trusts.
It's like virtual signaling to the Pulsechain community, oh, look at this, it's a heart. Hey, look at this. This looks like Pulsex, or whatever it is, right? Like a heart, the heart wrapped up in the Binance tape and whatever. There's something weird with that. I don't know if it, like I said, if it's just engagement to try to get people over to Binance or whatever it is. But I mean, it makes sense if you want to list something and you want something that's like got legal clarity, like Pulsechain does, like Hex does, right? Like, maybe it's not a bad idea to list those coins.
I think if we got green candles and we got a consistent history of green candles, and particularly ones they can't ignore, like when the rest of the market is down, that helps us make a stronger case for those listings. So I'm sticking to my plan here, where my daily DCA, I let it accumulate, and then I'll move in when I see an opportunity like that. Like right now, look at I'm looking at coin market cap right now. It's a bloodbath, like all across the board in all of crypto right here. And what would really make us stand out is if we were able to produce the largest bubbles on the crypto bubbles here. I mean, yeah, Rand is going to do all his best to ignore it and be like, oh, let's take a look at what's happening in the crypto market right here. Oh, I don't see nothing. Let me close out this Hex bubble. Let me close out this Pulse bubble. And of course, then he'll just go look at the usual crap coins that he likes here. But what everyone is buying and what everybody is pushing the price up for there. I think that if we are able to do that, particularly on a down day, we get positive attention, and then we can make a better case here.
So when do you tell people about a new opportunity? When do you share DeFi with somebody? Like, how many people do you guys know that have no clue how to do what you do? Do you think that maybe 1 out of 5, 2 out of 10 might enjoy learning how to get onboarded to this space and make some extra money for their family? Probably, yeah. So that's where it's going to initially, in these low times, it comes from people talking to people and onboarding people. That's where it comes from. It comes from marketing. It comes from conversations. It doesn't come from sitting on your ass hoping somebody else is going to pump your freaking bag. There's no different. There's nothing
So that's
different.
a great way of yeah, thanks, man. Because also volume. I mean, volume is to either the upside or the downside. So if volume drops lower and lower and becomes almost nothing at one point, that also means that we've pretty much run out of sellers. You've got believers in here, the ones who want to accumulate at these low levels, at these great discount prices. And I mean, I can even see Moon King in here, so he'd probably confirm this as well, that the low levels on the chart really signify a point in time where there's just no more sellers left, and then it's ready to just all of a sudden surprise everyone and just shoot the other way.
It's just good to see, like, look at TA, look at charts, look at the data, right? Don't go off your emotions. Look at the fib levels. Look at where bots are going to pick stuff up. There's rhymes, there's reasons for things, right? And when you look at the chart of the volume, it tells a story, right? You can see, okay, we've actually been here before. Yeah, people don't like it, but so it's like what Richard always said, who actually capitalizes on volume? Normally it's just the exchanges while people are getting chopped up. But here, the system, it benefits the holders from all volume. You benefit even when it's low volume. You're still getting yield. You're getting more tokens at lower prices. The system's just designed in such a beautiful way.
Right, if he 10,000x post trade, the Maxis will be coping so hard.
Oh yeah.